When the police arrived, the pool was still bright red like a crime scene out of a horror movie. Karen was screaming at the top of her lungs, her friends were dripping crimson water, and the whole neighborhood had gathered to watch. I stood there quiet, arms crossed, watching her flip out while the dye slowly bled down the drain. I didn't poison anyone. I didn't break a single law. I just made sure the HOA's self-appointed queen learned what private property really meant. My name's Daniel, and all I wanted was peace. A small backyard, a blue pool, a dog, and quiet evenings under the palm trees. That's it. After 10 years of saving and a brutal divorce, I finally bought my dream home in a quiet Florida suburb. I wasn't looking for drama, but apparently drama came wearing pastel cardigans and a name tag that read, HOA President. Karen Whitmore, 40-something blonde, always smiling like she just smelled something bad. She introduced herself the day I moved in, holding a binder thicker than a Bible. "Welcome to Pinebrook Estates," she chirped. "We have a few community guidelines to help keep things uniform and safe." I remember thinking, okay, sure, I can follow a few rules. But I didn't realize that in Karen's mind, guidelines meant whatever Karen says. It started small. Notes in my mailbox. "Please unlock your pool gate for community safety checks." Or, "Your lawn edging doesn't meet community standards." Thing is, my property wasn't technically part of the HOA, the line was drawn one lot over. But Karen insisted the HOA's spirit extended beyond the map. Her words, not mine. At first I tried to laugh it off. Maybe she was just overzealous. But then one Sunday morning I found a group of kids splashing in my pool. I walked outside, towel over my shoulder, and froze. Who are you?" I asked. One of the boys shrugged. "Karen said it's fine. It's the community pool now." The community pool! I kicked them out politely, but inside I was boiling. Later that day I went over to Karen's house to clear things up. She opened the door mid-sip of iced tea, smiling like she'd been expecting me. "Oh, Daniel," she said sweetly, "those kids are part of our neighborhood youth group. It's good for them to have a safe place to swim." "Yeah," I said, "but that safe place isn't mine." Her smile didn't move. "You don't want to be that guy, do you? The one who keeps to himself, who doesn't contribute to the community?" I told her to stay out of my yard. She nodded, pretending to agree, but I could tell she wasn't done. Over the next few weeks, weird things started happening. My gate would be unlocked. My pool chairs moved. A pink flamingo float appeared out of nowhere. When I checked my cameras there, she was Karen, waltzing in like she owned the place, clipboard in hand, jotting down notes as if she were inspecting her own property. I sent the footage to the police. They told me it was a civil issue. When I called a lawyer, he told me to document everything. I did. Every picture, every message, every little invasion. But that doesn't stop someone like her. She started spreading rumors, telling neighbors I was anti-community, that I was hoarding amenities, that I had refused to comply with HOA safety inspections. It was all garbage, but in a tight little suburb like ours, gossip spreads faster than truth. The final straw came on a Friday evening. I got home from work exhausted, opened the back door, and froze. Laughter, music, splashes. I peeked out. There were at least 10 people in my backyard. Drinks, towels, even a speaker playing pop music. And right in the middle, reclining on a pool float like Cleopatra herself, Karen. I marched straight out there. "What the hell are you doing in my yard?" She looked over, calm as ever, and said, "Community Pool Day. Didn't you get the flyer?" "What flyer?" "Oh," she said innocently. "I guess you were left off the list." "My bad." I was shaking. "Get out." Karen rolled her eyes. "Daniel, you need to relax. This neighborhood thrives on shared spaces. That's what makes us special." I clenched my fists so tight my nails dug into my palms. "This isn't a shared space. This is my property. You have 5 minutes before I call the cops." She laughed. "Go ahead. They already know me." I did call them. They came, looked at the scene, sighed, and said, "Sir, maybe let them finish up and talk to HOA later." I couldn't believe it. Even the cops didn't want to deal with her. That night I sat on my porch long after everyone left. The pool lights glowed blue, but I couldn't enjoy it. I felt violated, powerless. And for the first time I wondered if I was the problem. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe this was how HOA communities worked, everyone sharing, everyone pretending to get along. But then I remembered the smirk on her face, that smug little grin, like she'd already won. And that's when I decided she'd learn what boundaries really meant. I started researching. Something harmless but impossible to ignore. I found it food-grade red dye. Completely safe, non-toxic, but once it hits water, it's like blood in a shark movie. 20 gallons of it to be exact. For 2 days I waited. I knew she'd come back. Karen was predictable, control freaks always are. And sure enough, Saturday afternoon I heard laughter again. Music. I checked the camera. She'd brought friends this time. They were popping champagne, calling it Karen's pool party. I walked to the garage, grabbed the containers, and felt my heart pound. This was it. No yelling, no threats, just action. When I stepped outside, Karen looked up, dripping with smugness. "Oh, look who decided to join us," she called out, her friends laughing behind her. "There's always room for one more, Daniel." I didn't answer. I walked over to the filter pump, unscrewed the cap, and poured in the dye. The red swirl started spreading instantly. Karen blinked. "What are you?" Then the water turned crimson. It spread like wildfire, swirling around them in thick clouds until the entire pool looked like liquid blood. Screams erupted. Someone dropped a drink. One woman scrambled out, slipping on the wet deck, shrieking, "Oh my God, what is this?" Karen stood frozen, her perfect pastel outfit splattered red, her hair clinging to her forehead. "You psycho!" she yelled. "You ruined my party!" "Your party," I said. "Funny. I don't remember inviting you." That's when the sirens came. Someone, probably one of her friends, had called the police. The officers showed up, took one look at the pool, and burst out laughing. "What the hell happened here?" one asked. Karen, furious and dripping, screamed. "He poured chemicals into the pool. He tried to poison us." I handed the officer the dye container. "Food grade," I said. "You can drink it if you want." He read the label, grinned, and said, "Yeah, ma'am, this is literally used in bakeries." She lost it, screaming about lawsuits, emotional distress, HOA, bylaws, the works. But this time everyone saw it for what it was. The neighbors who had gathered to watch were recording. The once feared HOA queen was now standing in a puddle of her own humiliation. Over the next week, the clip went viral. People called it the Red Pool Incident. Karen filed a complaint with the HOA, which backfired spectacularly when members found out she'd been using her title to invade private property. Then came the official meeting. She strutted in wearing her blazer like armor and started reading a long statement about community unity and unlawful harassment. But when I presented my folder of photos, videos, and trespass reports, the room turned against her. Even the board members she'd bullied for years avoided her eyes. The vote was quick, unanimous. She was stripped of her position as HOA president. That night I thought it was finally over. But Karen wasn't done. At 2 a.m., my security app buzzed. Motion detected by the pool. I opened the feed. There she was, hood over her head, crouched by the edge, pouring something from a container into the water. I called the police immediately. When they arrived, she tried to claim she was cleaning up the pool. They tested the liquid industrial bleach, enough to ruin the filter system completely. She was arrested that night, charged with property damage and violating a no trespass order. I watched from the window as they put her in the back of the cruiser, hands cuffed, mascara smeared, muttering something about community spirit. The next morning I drained the pool, replaced the filter, and refilled it with clear, calm water. Blue again. Peaceful again. Sometimes late at night I still hear the faint echo of that party, the laughter, the music, the splash of entitlement hitting the water. But then I remember how it ended, the red dye, the screaming, the look on her face when she realized she'd finally lost control. People think revenge has to be loud or cruel, but the truth is the most satisfying revenge is poetic. And I'll tell you this, sometimes to protect your peace you have to stain the water red first.